You're listening to China Africa Talk.
Jambo, ni Bridget akikuletea kipindi kinachohusiana na China na Afrika.
Vous écoutez le dialogue sino-africain avec Bridget.
Everything China, everything Africa.
Olá, você está ouvindo China Africa Talk com Bridget.
سيداتي وسادتي مرحبا بكم في الحوار الصيني العربي مع بريدجيت.
Welcome back to the program. This is China Africa Talk. I'm your host, Bridget Mutambirwa, and I bring you discussions on what's happening with China and Africa from a Chinese and African perspective. From August 18th to the 23rd, I had the privilege of joining a media tour titled Watch China Together, A Journey to Harmony. Some of the highlights included a visit to the Yangling Smart Agricultural Demonstration Park, the China-Europe Railway Assembly Center in Xi'an, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Pearl International Expo in Qingdao. We witnessed firsthand China's advancements in smart agriculture, green port development, and cultural cooperation under the SCO framework. But more importantly, this trip was a powerful window into how China is actively sharing its expertise and fostering collaboration across the global south.
You know, China is willing to cooperate, is willing to invite people to come there to see. That is what's so inspiring about this whole process.
This was not confined to SCO alone, is extending its expertise to the rest of the states as well.
For more into this experience, I'm now joined by two of my colleagues who were on the tour, Yasser Masood, a political and strategic affairs analyst from Pakistan, and Arad Vermaak, a news editor from South Africa. Guys, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, my pleasure.
So, gentlemen, our first stop was Yangling, where we visited the Yangling Smart Agriculture Demonstration Park and the Yangling International Kiwi Fruit Innovation Park. I don't know if I should be embarrassed to be saying this now, but I actually discovered for the first time in Yangling that the kiwi fruit originated in China, and I had no idea all this time. So I will always be grateful to Yangling for teaching me this. And yes, it was my first time. What was the experience for you guys? Was this your first time, Arad?
It was also my first time there. You know, what I find so fascinating about a country like China is that it's so large, right? It's so big. Yet, even those of us who work here end up going to the same few spots. And a visit to a city like Yangling just shows you what the smaller cities or smaller towns have to offer. What I found fascinating is because, of course, we took the high-speed rail there. And I remember on previous trips, if I took a trip to a smaller city, you often think, oh, they don't have, the creature comforts that I sometimes need. But, Yangling proved me wrong immediately. It was very, very clean, very organized. And what I really appreciated about our visit to the agriculture and the Trade Expo Center was that it showed me that Yangling is not just a small town. It has a long, long history of agriculture, a long, long history of bridging, East and West. So perhaps it just shows you that there's still so much to learn about these Chinese cities. I had a great time. You'll remember when we were clamoring around the kiwi farms and the other farms.
Yes.
The weather was hot, but it was such a
hot,
beautiful place, perfect for agriculture.
How about you, Yasser? What was the highlight for you in Yangling? And was this your first time in Yangling?
I think it was an absolutely nice visit in terms of having new information, new knowledge about China, especially with relation to the upcoming SCO summit in Tianjin. And yes, this was my first visit. And what I liked the most was the Yangling Agriculture High-Tech Industry Demonstration Zone. For me, that was the most inspiring one because there was some of the highlights which I never knew before. For example, in October 2020, this became the SCO Agriculture Technology Exchange and Training Demonstration Base. And it also launched the Silk Road Agriculture Education, Science and Technology Innovation Alliance. Now, this is important that it has brought around 96 institutions from 18 countries, all over from SCO. But let me tell you that this was not confined to SCO alone. Yangling, as an agriculture innovation center, is extending its expertise to the rest of the states as well. For example, in Africa, global South countries. And we saw other delegates coming over there and getting trained, and then they go back to their country and extending the expertise and sharing the knowledge taken from China and towards their country. Our Prime Minister, the Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, visited Yangling last year, and then he decided to educate and give expertise to 1,000 young students, which are now coming to China and getting the expertise regarding agriculture. Now, these students are also ambassadors and will go back to their country and will put a huge contribution not only to their economy, but also to the agricultural growth. So I think for me, this was the most important highlight for in Yangling.
We also visited the high-tech agriculture demonstration zone, which is working to develop smart agriculture by improving the scale of intelligent technology used in agriculture production. What was your impression about the quality, though, of the agricultural yields? Or was it just me who was like, wow, look at that, look at the quality of those crops, the
Yes, the
grains?
quality, I was really mesmerized by looking at the quality. One, the growth, we could see that they are so powerful, such a strong growth is happening there. And then, the fields were so uniformed, the way they have maintained the fields of the maize. Then we also saw a lot of breeds of maize,
Yes,
of
yes,
having
yes.
some huge size of maize growth. So I think it also reflects that no wonder China is able to, work on its agriculture diplomacy, on its own food
Yeah.
security over the years. And I think this is something very important to learn. Why I'm focusing or stressing on this important point is because China was also lagging behind a few years back,
Yeah.
in terms of using, old traditional ways of agriculture growth. But with the passage of time, since they have adopted this AI technology, precision
Farming.
farming, and then they made the climate, conducive environment for their agriculture. And then there is a continuous innovation is going on. There is a huge research which is happening across country in China, especially in Yangling, where we went, where we visited.
Tell me, Era, we got to learn that Youngling has set up a demonstration base for SCO members for agricultural training. And we met agriculture experts, not just from SCO countries, but various countries in the global south, including Africa, who were also visiting. For me, that was also another way for Youngling to say, you know what, we're also opening up to Africa. There's a door opening for Africa. What for
You
you? How did you take this? Did you get the same impression?
I did. Agriculture was one thing. We learned that, Kiwis have their ancestry in China, which was a nice surprise. But then after we went to the Trade Expo Center, you remember my face light up when I saw some South African wine. And it wasn't just, South African wine, it was a very good quality South African wine, which means that, there's been some care taken to bring the products and expose it to these markets,
Yes.
in the correct way. And that's what I really appreciate about the SEO is that, it's not a closed club. Yes, there are the core member states, but it's grown over the years. But there's always an open door for other markets further afield. So that's what I really, really appreciated about that. And it wasn't just proven by the commerce. As you said, we ran into people from South Africa and from other African countries there learning about agriculture, top academics who could hopefully take what they're learning back. And I think that's the magic of the SEO. It's not just for the member states. It's not, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It's bringing these member states closer and sharing and developing. There's an emphasis on global South cooperation, which is what we need.
Yasser, I understand several important Silk Road routes passed through the present day territories of Pakistan, and it is also an SEO member. Now, during our visit to Xi'an and tour of the China-Europe Railway Express Assembly, what do you now understand about the significance of the city to the Silk Road?
I think, let's put it this way, the whole concept of the Belt and Road Initiative is basically the revival of the old Silk Route. And those times, Silk Route was extremely popular across the continents because of its geostrategic significance, because of the trade it carried to different continents, especially it was passing by, as you mentioned, through my country and through Central Asia and beyond to Europe. Yeah, I think we have taken a lot, even which we are using today, from the Silk Route time. Ibn Sina, a popular Muslim scientist, was born. He wrote a book. The name of the book was The Canon of Medicine. This book went to Europe because of Silk Route and was taught in Latin and European languages for 500 years in European universities. Yes, and this was the legacy of the Silk Route. It extended cultures, it transformed knowledge, it transformed trade, and in terms of food, which we even use today in our countries, all the way from China to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way now we see is why the Belt and Road Initiative is so popular, getting its popularity in different states across continents, is the same concept of extending peaceful coexistence from China to the rest of the world. And trade is basically the nucleus of the whole initiative. And going to Xi'an, it was a wonderful hands-on experience knowing that how China is, expanding its positive influence to the rest of the world without having any geostrategic or geopolitical strings attached to China's rise and to China's success. Put together, it was very nice to see that how peacefully the progress is being transformed. So basically, the progress has been shared through Xi'an to Europe, all the way to Central Asia, including my country and beyond. I think it was transformative by seeing that how the progress is on ground. And I personally could see that the prosperity is actually is in good hands as long as we have more collaborations. We come under this the umbrella of the community of shared destiny, and to avoid conflicts in the regions and work on the trade and peaceful coexistence. I think this is the future of the world.
Erad, what about the SCO exhibition center? It's named the Pearl in a fun way, but did you get to find out why it's called the Pearl?
Yes, what is so striking about that building? I mean, it's just a gorgeous piece of architecture. But if you go from where we entered, we went into the welcome area, and then you walk into a massive courtyard, and then you see the reason why it's called the Pearl. It's shaped like a massive, massive clamshell, or a few clamshells all laid out together in a circle. So it's the Pearl because the goods inside being traded is the Pearl, and I thought that was very clever.
Did you get to see any products from your country there?
So going into this, of course, I was saying so SCO is an Asian organization or an Asian grouping. So I did not expect that, and then even initially, remember we walked in and we watched the presentation on the SEO, and even then they had links with on that beautiful, they had like a beautiful map of the world done in ancient Chinese style, and even then they had some African countries there. So I was like, okay, so they're reaching out to there.
Yeah.
And then we went into the exhibition space, and there's a huge selection of not only very good local African products, but from a variety of other areas as well. So I was so surprised because we saw rooibos tea, and once again, it's not just some rooibos tea; it's the top quality
from South
and then
Africa.
they had top quality wine, and this was repeated at we visited a few pavilions, right? Like this was repeated, like everyone was like, "This is really good."
This is it felt at home. We felt at home.
Yes, exactly. It's not something you can go get, at like April Gourmet, which is a local shop here in Beijing. You know what I mean? Like this is good stuff, and that was what was so heartening is that you're really seeing that they're spreading the love around.
Qingdao is perhaps one of the places which I found rather unique, especially because of its history. For me, one of the things that stood out was its hospitality. What is it about Qingdao that gives it such a strong international flair?
I've been wanting to go to Qingdao for many years, and I don't know why I've not just taken the train. It's so close to Beijing. But what was so really, and I know this is perhaps a bit of a cliche, but what was so nice about Qingdao was the friendliness of the people.
Yes.
Right? So you remember when we got onto the bus, our tour guide, Will, he was the warmest guy we've met, I think, on our trip. And he was so helpful and nice and very proud of Qingdao. You know, when we went to the various stops, I was surprised to find out how many, successful celebrities, filmmakers. So I know that's at the end of our trip, but one of our anchors, Zoe, comes from there, and there's a big picture of them. So that's one example. There's a lot of people who have made it from Qingdao. And that international quality you speak of, perhaps that's why people are open to foreign ideas, open to trading with foreign, but it's still a very Chinese place. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You remember when we made dumplings
Yep.
and we did all the handicraft. So the way I kind of saw it was like it's like a stepping stone for China to the rest of the world, and the rest of the world has a place to land here before it gets, perhaps seen or taken up. So that was the interesting thing there. But I would say the warmth of the people who hosted us and who we encountered, that was particularly the standout for me. But Bridget, I know you're the host here, but can I ask you what was your highlight of the trip in Qingdao?
First of all, the hospitality. Everywhere we went, the way they received it, which is very important for me, especially coming from an African country, I could relate very easily. It was a place I picked. I could relate to very easily because I'll give you an example. Even when we went to the Shanghai Jeju Export Center, the entrance, just seeing Africa being the first pavilion that we saw. For me, that was
Yes.
like, welcome Bridget from Zimbabwe to an SCO pavilion. So there already, I felt at home. I wanted to be part of this. And then we also had, even though these things may seem very minor, but the fact that even the way we receive guests back home in Africa, in Zimbabwe, we receive them with dance, the cultural aspect. So for me, Qingdao received me with their culture, with their dance, when they performed for us. That was just like, welcome for me. And then the Nepalese meditation. For me, that was another way of saying, you are welcome, because we have different cultural beliefs, we have different religious beliefs. But that for me was like, you know what? When that Nepalese lady gave us a bit of her experience there with the Nepalese meditation, that was for me like, you can be part of. I don't want to lie to you. Hospitality means everything. It means everything in our cultures. And then, of course, they gave us food, because even in our culture, we believe, relationships are cemented with food over a meal. And I had the chance they didn't just give me any ordinary meal or whatever. They gave us something that they make there, the vinegar ice cream. They didn't offer me hot coffee, which is not a bad thing, but they were considerate enough, because in our culture, when it's hot, you should be giving someone something cold, and vice versa. So for me, even as a first timer, that meant so much to me. There,
It was so hot outside. Oh my goodness, the summer this year, and I know everywhere we went was hot. So that was absolutely right. It was a welcome reprieve and understanding.
So I think even the way they planned it, this whole trip, the way they planned it to say, let's start off at the SCO Exhibition Center, that allowed me to understand what was going to then happen throughout the rest of the course of the whole trip. And then, of course, the China movie Metropolis, that was another big highlight for me. And I'm still trying to absorb, what I saw. Yasser, as a major seaport and host to world-class events, how is Qingdao's global character still evolving and shaping its future today? What are your thoughts?
The most important thing to me was that almost the whole port is fully automated.
Yeah.
This was something unique. I've never seen this before in my life.
Yes.
And the way they have given us presentations, informed us. We visited the film academies and where the films are being produced. Different studios over there. This also gave me a glimpse that how China is competing and progressing in terms of its film industry. So the last stop also reflects, Qingdao, that you visited the SCO Film Festival.
Yeah.
I'm sure that this was an amazing
Yeah,
experience altogether.
yes, it was.
I just wanted to add to that. What I appreciated about this trip is that they really showed us how the SEO mechanics work. So great, they took us agriculture. They showed us, okay, this is where the products come, and then they also showed, okay, this is where the products are assembled, not just the Chinese products, but products from other places,
Yeah.
and then they get moved. Either we saw the land port in Xi'an, and then we also saw this wonderful. I mean, that was really incredible. The seaport, the automated seaport in Qingdao.
Yeah.
So you really understand the whole process from where the product is
Comes from,
manufactured,
yes, where it's
yeah, like where it
produced.
comes from, yes, and then what it gets turned into, and then how does it get moved to other places, and with what efficiency. So it was kind of like, okay, SEO, but it's kind of also, you understand the BRI, not just the one belt, one road, but you also understand the maritime Silk Road, right? So all of these initiatives, you can see the vision coming together
Yeah.
on a trip like this,
Yeah.
especially if you go inland and then coastal, you see that whole chain.
Absolutely. And it shows that China's cultural modernization and development. So altogether, in the backdrop of SEO, I think I will conclude it in a way that in these visit, what we see was the first thing was the agriculture in Yangling. In Xi'an, it was the connectivity which China is extending to the rest of the state through SEO. And Qingdao is the cultural. So I would put it in this way that these three important components of SEO was thoroughly educated to us during these visits. And of course, it illuminated me and also, my colleagues who, the other delegates who were with us. So altogether, I think it was a wonderful experience.
The last stop in Qingdao was the China movie metropolis. Why is this place so famous? Because one thing I learned for sure was that, in the production sites, everything that they produce is done in the production sites. Maybe comparing with the African movie industry, where maybe we rely on other countries to produce certain things for us. But in China, everything happens in the production sites at the China movie metropolis.
Yeah, let me tell you that, this was my first time to visit to Yangling or Xi'an or Qingdao. So altogether, it was a very good experience. But I personally like Qingdao the most because of its amazing, vibe the moment we enter in the city. Yeah, it was very peaceful, very clean, and I was very impressed with the architect. It was the almost the European or German architect there.
Yes, yes.
And then it was very well maintained. I think the most important thing is that it has been preserved by the Chinese authorities in a marvelous way. Not only preserved, but then it was being extended even today. If we see the modern Qingdao and the traditional Qingdao, you see a big difference, and you also see a big, different flavors in the city, in the same city. Then, going to the seaside and
Yes, yes.
first, we went to the SCO exhibition center. I was glad to see different countries' booth there, especially my country booth. I went there,
Oh, you also
and
saw your country booth there, hey?
yes, there was a booth in the D section. I went there, and I was very glad to see that the flag of my country, the music was on, and the different products were on display for people to come and know the culture, the language, tradition, norms, taboos, history about different countries, and the way they have displayed, or it's absolutely amazing. Then also, we went to the Shanghai Jishu Export
Yes,
Center.
yes. Where we
That
had that
was
experience with the Nepalese culture.
My goodness, that poor Nepalese lady, all of us were queuing up because we all wanted our chakras cleaned. It was so funny. Like,
That was the
oh
highlight
yes,
for me.
yeah. Then I tried the Nepalese meditation,
Meditation.
and it was very, gave me this calm feeling, and it was a very good experience.
We all had a moment of calm when we held these,
Like a metal bowl.
yes, and they
like
hit it and it vibrates and it sends off this heavenly sound, and we all got calmed down. If we can take these lessons from here, and also the added benefit is, China's is willing to cooperate. China's willing to invite people, like you mentioned, to come there to see. That is what's so inspiring about this whole process. We can take lessons from that. That is the goal. But, inspiration only goes so far, right? We need to now work together and also, pull up our bootstraps.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to having you on the program again when we have another media tour.
It was a pleasure to share the trip with you, Bridget, and with you, Yasir.
Welcome.
We had a good time, the three of us as well. I hope we can all travel again soon.
Listeners, you can subscribe to our online newsletter on CGTN or Substack to get more insights on China-Africa relations. Just search China-Africa Talk. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post it on social media or leave a rating and review. Thanks again. See you next time.